Hey, what's up guys? So today I thought I'd talk about the Archon build that I've been using to level with. It's been a lot of fun on my wizard. Since I hit Paragon 100 on my barb, I've been trying out different builds on my wizard along with my monk to level with, been leveling them up a bit. But I've been having a lot of fun on my wizard, so I thought I'd show you guys the build that I've been using. A couple of the skill ruins you can use with it, along with some gear, and then I'll show you some gameplay at the end here. So we'll get into the skills right away. The first skill that I use is Energy Twister with the rune Wicked Wind. Now this is a really good skill because anytime your Archon is on cooldown and you need to get it off right away and to get back into Archon form, you can use Energy Twister with Wicked Wind, and that correlates with critical mass. So anytime you get critical hits with that, your spells have a chance to reduce the cooldown, or your crits have a chance to reduce the cooldown of your spells by 1 second. So that's very helpful and gets you right back into Archon farm very quickly. The only downside is that it does cost 35 arcane power, so it does eat up your arcane power very quickly, as you can see there. So if you don't have any arcane power on crit, you might want to consider using a different skill that doesn't cost any arcane power. So what I suggest is you use Shock Pulse with Living Lightning. This does generate quite a bit of crits, and it does work quite well. So you guys might want to try that skill out. I've been having a lot of fun with that as well. But I have a little bit of arcane power on crits, so I don't use it as often. I prefer using Energy Twister with Wicked Wind. But to be honest, you don't really have too many times that you're out of Archon form, and it's usually not very much of a problem. So I use the quickest way to get back into it, which for me is Energy Twister with Wicked Wind. Now the next skill, of course, is Archon. The build basically revolves around this skill, so it's important to choose the right rune for you. The rune that I suggest you choose right away is Improved Archon, because that increases all the damage of your Archon abilities by 25%, which is pretty huge. I suggest you guys try that out right away and see what kind of damage you're doing. And then if you feel like you're doing enough damage and everything's basically insta-kill, you should go to teleport, because if you're basically overkilling all the enemies, it's not really going to be much of a speed boost. And if you can use teleport, it's going to really speed up your runs quite a bit. That's the skill I use. I got enough damage. If you don't have enough damage, use Improved Archon, but if you think you're getting enough damage, go back to teleport, because man, teleport really does speed up your runs quite a bit, and I've been having a lot of fun with that. The other skill you might want to use might be Pure Power, which decreases the cooldown of Archon to 100 seconds, which is only a 20-second difference. I think Teleport and Improved Archon are the best. Like I said, if you do enough damage that you can pretty much one-shot everything with Teleport, go ahead and use Teleport. If you're having a little bit of problems with the damage, don't have enough gear, definitely use Improved Archon. So right now I'm using Teleport though, because I seem to have enough damage on the lower monster powers that that's not much of a problem. Now we're going to get into the defensive skills here. So there's a couple defensive skills you can use. The one I like is Teleport with Wormhole, because at the beginning of my runs I can teleport up the ramp or teleport wherever I need to go anytime I'm out of Archon form, and really speeds up my runs a little bit at the beginning. But it's kind of a skill you're not going to be using that much. So another skill that might be good is when you're out of Archon form, of course. Diamond Skin is really good with Crystal Shell, because that allows you to get up. Like basically, you can pop Diamond Skin, and then you can pop down a couple Energy Twisters without taking too much damage, and then you can get back into your Archon farm without taking too much damage and possibly avoiding a death. Frost Nova can be good for that as well, to freeze all the enemies around you and then chuck down a couple Energy Twisters right on top of them, and that works very good as well. But I just like teleport to speed me up a little bit, and I'm hardly ever out of Archon form, so it doesn't really matter what skill you choose here. If you're having trouble surviving out of Archon form, use Diamond Skin. If not, if you just need to get around more, use teleport with Wormhole, which is the one I'm using right now. Now the next skill here is Familiar, and I have the Ruined Sparkflint. There's not really any other ruin that I suggest using in here. This is basically just for a pure damage buff, so go ahead and pop in that skill. Really increases your damage quite a bit. Same with the next skill here, but it does have a different couple ruins you can use. So magic weapon gives you an extra 10% damage as well, lasts 5 minutes. There's a couple skills you can use. I would suggest using Venom if you're looking for some more damage, or Force Weapon is really good to knock enemies back. I was using that before. But if you're having problem with reflect damage and you don't have very much life leech, I would highly suggest getting blood magic because the extra life leech does help a lot, especially against reflect damage mobs. So that's what I've been using because reflect damage is a little bit tricky. So I go ahead and use blood magic. It does help a lot. Now the next skill I want to get into here is Storm Armor with Scramble. So basically, Storm Armor, it's basically shoots down like an electrical pulse around enemies around you. So it allows you to keep moving when there's only one or two enemies around you, and that will take it out pretty easily. But the really good thing about this is Scramble. So anytime you get hit by an enemy, it increases your movement speed by 25% for 3 seconds. So that is very quick. You can get around a lot quicker if you're using this, but you do have to sacrifice a little bit of defenses. So if you're trying to use Scramble and you're just dying too much, you can't take it, try using energy armor, which will give you a lot more armor. And then if you want more damage with that, you can use the pinpoint barrier for more crit. Or if you really, really need the defenses, go ahead and use prismatic armor, which can be good at the higher monster powers as well. So prismatic armor is a really good one if you really need the defenses. Those are the kind of things I would choose, but I use storm armor with scramble just because that does speed you up a ton. It is surprising how much it speeds you up. Storm Armor Scramble is the shit. Trust me, it is awesome. The next skill I'm going to go over, or some of the passive skills, is a Glass Cannon, of course. You definitely don't want to take this if you're having trouble surviving, but I highly, highly suggest you try to take this even if you are having trouble surviving. Maybe try some of the other skills in there because a Glass Cannon does really increase your damage quite a bit. Critical mass, I'd say this is pretty important. I really like critical mass because if you're out of Archon form, it allows you to get back into it really quickly. The other one I use is Galvanizing Ward because while you're in Archon form, your armors could pop off on cooldown before you get out of Archon form, making it so you have to click off Archon and then rebuff all the time, and it just gets a little bit annoying. So Galvanizing Ward is really good for increasing the duration of your armor, and it also gives you a little bit of life regen as well, so it's good for that. A couple other skills you might want to use in here is Evocation, which basically reduces all your cooldowns by 15%. It's all right there. If you're having problems surviving, you can use Blur, which decreases the damage done by melee attackers by 20%. And the third one I'd suggest using is Temporal Flux, which anytime you deal arcane damage, which is Archon of course, enemies are slowed by 30% for 2 seconds. So pretty good if you want to slow enemies before they get to you. That can help out quite a bit if you're having trouble surviving. But these are the three I use. I highly recommend trying these out. They're a lot of fun. So I'm going to get into the items here, some items that are pretty good to use. Um, what's really important, I think, is to get some lifesteal on your weapon. Now, I could have gotten an Echoing Fury that had intelligence and an open socket for more damage, but I decided to get intelligence with some lifesteal, and that does really, really help against reflect damage, and I highly suggest you get some lifesteal on your wizard. I think it's really important. A couple other things that are really good together is Zunimasa's Trail, and that goes together with the ring. These are a really good combo to use on your wizard. Gives you bonus 130 intellect, and you get the movement speed on the boots. You can get all resistance on them. They're pretty awesome, so I'd highly suggest you guys get those two as a combination. Witching Hour is really good for extra attack speed and defenses and that. They can be a little bit pricey though, so eh, it's kind of one of those things. Now, the one I wanted to talk about here is, I don't even know how to pronounce that, triumvirate or something like that. I know you guys are going to give me a hard time about that. But anyway, this is a really good offhand to use. Adds plus 5 fire damage, lightning damage, and arcane damage. Does actually a ton of extra damage. As you can see, if I look at this weapon right here, which pretty much has the same amount of damage, has more intelligence, has more crit damage, but it minus 12k damage. So that really does up your damage quite a bit, and I highly suggest you try to get one of these as your offhand weapon. Although some of the better ones can get a little bit expensive, especially if you try to get one with arcane power on crit like I did. But yeah, they are quite good. I highly suggest using them. For the other skill or other items, I mean, I got some Vile Wars, which is just really basic shoulders. Everybody should be getting some Vile Wars or some rare shoulders. Really good to use. Then I just got like a Mempo and basically some rare gloves, and you're just trying to get a lot of damage gear while keeping your all resistances probably around above 500 is the best, and above 30k life you should be doing all right as well. So that's basically it for the gear and the skills that I use, some of the variations on that. And so right now we'll get into a little bit of gameplay here and we'll talk about a couple things. Alright guys, so we got a little bit of gameplay here. Going to show you guys a couple things about the Archon Wizard. Those were some reflect damage mobs there. As you can see, it wasn't too bad, although there was like some illusionists and other things around for me to hit, so I was able to get some life off that. A couple things you want to do when you're on your wizard is, as you can see, I kind of move through mobs and then take them out behind me. And if there's only a couple mobs around you, you can just keep moving if you're using storm armor, because storm armor will take care of those pretty easily. As you can see, these guys are getting hit with their lightning bolts here, so it's pretty cool. I really like storm armor. It reminds me of Thunderstorm from Diablo 2, which basically did the same thing, except you had a little cool aura that went around your character as well. One more thing you want to do when you're using this build is at the beginning of every zone, you want to click off your Archon if it's still up, because a lot of the time it's up and it's going to be up for another couple minutes, and you're going to want to rebuff your storm armor as well as your magic weapon, because that will give you allow those to persist throughout the whole run without you having to click off your Archon possibly mid-run to rebuff those, which then if you get to the end of that zone, you might want to do that again, and then your Archon's not on cooldown. But just a little suggestion that you're going to have to click off Archon a couple times to rebuff your storm armor. As you can see, I kind of forgot to do that in this clip here. It's just about to run out right now. But yeah, you want to just keep moving through the mobs, get hit by a couple things every once in a while, because as long as you're getting hit, your storm armor is going to be coming up, and that 25% movement speed bonus does help you out a lot. It really is helpful, so I suggest you guys do that. Right now I have my storm armor off, so that's not happening. But if you're using the teleport Archon, of course use teleport as often as you can to get ahead of the mobs. What I like to do is try to get ahead of the mobs and then attack stuff behind me, and that seems to work best for me. Anyway, that's about it for the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.